Okay, get ready for this. For 2026, Formula One isn't just tweaking the rules. They're literally throwing the entire rulebook in the bin and starting from a blank page. We are talking about the biggest, most comprehensive technical revolution in the sport's modern history. I mean, a complete rewrite of the car's DNA, from the engine and the Aero all the way down to its actual size.
So, the big question is why? Why on earth are they hitting the reset button so hard? Well, let me tell you, this isn't just a random shakeup. Oh no, this is a super deliberate, incredibly ambitious plan to totally redefine what a Formula One car is, and to shape what the future of the sport is going to look like, both on the track and off it. All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the big picture, the why behind this great reset. Then we'll dive into the wild new Aero and overtaking rules. After that, it's all about the power game and the new engines. Then we'll cover the smaller, lighter cars. And finally, we'll put it all together and see what it actually means on track. Let's get into it. Okay, first up, F1's 2026 Great Reset. Let's talk about the big goals behind this whole revolution. The FIA and Formula One didn't just do this on a whim. They had three very, very specific objectives in mind.
So goal number one, and this is always the big one, right? Create closer, more exciting racing. We all want more wheel-to-wheel action, more overtakes. Goal number two is all about sustainability. They're pioneering a future with 100% sustainable fuels and a huge leap forward in hybrid tech. And goal number three? To make the sport so ridiculously appealing that it attracts a whole new wave of iconic car manufacturers back to the grid.
And you know what? On that last point, they've already knocked it out of the park. Come 2026, the grid is going to be packed with 5 major power unit suppliers. I mean, you've got the Titans, Mercedes and Ferrari. You've got the brand new Red Bull-Ford partnership. Honda is making a full works return with Aston Martin. And of course, the one everyone's talking about, the big debut of Audi. That's a huge win.
All right, let's move on to the Aero and overtaking shakeup. This is where things get really different. Seriously, for fans, this is where you're going to see and feel the biggest, most dramatic change from the Formula One you've been watching for the past decade. Here it is, the headline news. DRS is gone. Yep, you heard that right. The drag reduction system, that rear wing flap that has been the absolute key to overtaking since 2011, is completely gone. It's being replaced by something way more integrated and, frankly, a lot more dynamic.
So what's replacing it? It's a new system called Active Aerodynamics. Think of it like this. Every single car now has 2 modes. The default is corner mode. This is where both the front and rear wings are angled for maximum downforce, maximum grip through the turns. But then, on the straights, drivers can flick a switch to straight mode. And when they do, elements on both the front and the rear wings flatten out, slashing drag and boosting top speed. And here's the key part. Everyone gets to use this. It's not just for the car behind.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, wait, if everyone can use straight mode, where's the advantage for overtaking? And that's where this comes in. Overtake Mode. This is a totally separate electrical boost that's based on proximity. It works just like DRS did. If you're within 1 second of the car in front, you get to unleash an extra burst of electrical energy. This lets you deploy your full power at much higher speeds than the car you're trying to pass. This is the real replacement for the DRS advantage. All right, let's talk about the new power game, because this is huge. If you thought those Aero changes were a big deal, wait until you hear about the engine. The whole architecture is a complete paradigm shift, and it's all centered on a brand new 50-50 split of power. And this really shows you what I'm talking about. Formula One is moving to a roughly 50-50 power split. The internal combustion engine, the 1.6-liter V6 turbo, is actually being dialed back to produce around 400 kilowatts, which is about 540 horsepower. And the other half of the power? Well, that now comes from the electric motor. And just look at the scale of that jump. It's absolutely insane. The MGU-H, that's the part that recovers kinetic energy when the drivers hit the brakes, is going from giving a 120 kilowatt boost to a massive 350 kilowatts. That is nearly 3 times more electrical power. It's not just a little helper system anymore. It is now a primary source of power. Now, there are a few other massive changes here. First, the MGU-H, the super complex and crazy expensive part that recovers heat energy from the turbo, is gone, completely removed. This was basically a deal breaker to get manufacturers like Audi and Ford to join. It just lowers the cost and complexity so much. Second, Every single car will run on 100% advanced sustainable fuel. And finally, because so much power is coming from the battery, they're slashing the amount of fuel they can use in a race from 110 kilos down to just 70. Efficiency is absolutely everything now.
Okay, on to the cars themselves. For years, we've heard drivers and fans complain that Formula One cars have just gotten too big, too heavy, like boats on wheels. Well, the 2026 rules are tackling this head-on with what the FIA is calling the Nimble Car philosophy.
And the numbers here really do speak for themselves. The cars are going on a serious diet. We're talking 200 millimeters shorter, 100 millimeters narrower, and a full 30 kilograms lighter. The goal here is to create a much more compact, more agile car that's way better suited for those tight street circuits and for proper close racing.
But here's the really clever part. Lighter does not mean less safe. Not at all. In fact, safety standards have been massively cranked up. The roll hoop has to withstand way more force. There's a new 2-stage front impact structure to better absorb energy in a crash, and the side intrusion protection around the driver and the fuel cell is more than doubled. It's pretty amazing, really, shedding weight while actually adding strength.
So let's put it all together. What does all this technical stuff actually mean for the racing? What's it going to look like on track? How's it going to feel for the drivers in the cockpit and for us watching at home? Okay, so here's one of the most interesting and maybe kind of weird new dynamics. It's a phenomenon called clipping. Because that electric motor is so incredibly powerful, the cars are going to blast up to their top speed really early on a straight. But then, the battery runs out of juice, and the engine has to start acting like a generator to recharge it. This means the car could actually start to slow down slightly at the end of the straight before the driver even thinks about braking. And all of this creates a totally new driving style. To manage all this energy, lift and coast is going to be absolutely crucial. Drivers will have to come off the throttle way earlier than they do now as they approach a corner. Why? To give that MGU-K more time to harvest energy and recharge the battery. It's going to completely change the rhythm of how you drive a lap of a racetrack. And check this out. This might be the wildest detail of all. Get ready for a very strange new sound. The Mercedes engine boss, Hywel Thomas, explained that to generate enough power for that huge battery, the V6 engine will sometimes be at full throttle even when the car is braking or going through a slow corner. Yep, you heard me. The engine will be screaming while the car is slowing down. That's because the battery just demands an insane amount of energy, and the engine has to double as a generator whenever it can. So we're going to be hearing high revs and parts of the track where it just sounds wrong. It's going to be bizarre. So when you add it all up, a complete reset on the Aero, a wild new 50-50 hybrid power unit, smaller and nimbler cars, and a totally new way of driving, what you have is a true revolution, nothing less. The teams that have dominated for the last decade, they can't take anything for granted. It is a completely level playing field. And that, of course, leaves us all with the billion-dollar question for 2026. In this brand new arms race, who is going to get it right first?